In 1946, Detroit was building cars the size of living rooms, wrapped in enough chrome to blind a pilot, with V8 engines that just refused to quit. America had won the war, and it was about to win the driveway too. Britain had also just won the war, but Britain had no chrome, barely any steel, and a government literally rationing the metal its own car factories needed to build anything at all. And yet, out of bombed-out cities and empty bank accounts, British engineers made a promise anyway, that they too could build the future of the automobile. Some of them actually did. This is not about those cars, this is about the ones that didn't make it. The machines built on ambition so big, it outran the money, the tooling, and sometimes the basic laws of physics. 10 cars that rolled out of the factory gates, full of confidence and rolled straight into disaster. Stick around, because by the time we get to number 1, you'll meet a car whose own advertising slogan became the cruelest joke in British motoring, a punchline the company never lived down. Let's start the countdown. Number 10, Lea-Francis, 14. HPC of entry, 1946. A small firm called Lea-Francis had gone bankrupt less than a decade earlier, and now it was staking its comeback on a single car, the 14 HP. Under the hood, under the bonnet, as the Brits would say, sat a hand-tuned twin-cam engine, roughly 65 horsepower, built with the kind of obsessive craftsmanship you'd expect from a boutique watchmaker, not a car company. On paper, it looked like a genuine challenger to British luxury names like Riley and Alvis. In reality, it was closer to a garage experiment sold at showroom prices. Every single 14 HP left the factory as a bare rolling chassis, then got shipped off to independent coach builders who each finished the bodywork their own way. That meant no two Lea-Francis cars were quite alike, and no guarantee the fit and finish on the one you bought would match the one your neighbor got. Lea-Francis simply didn't have the cash to modernize or mass-produce like the bigger players. Austin and Morris next door. Owners loved the engineering pedigree. They just had to wait months for parts, service, or basic repairs to actually show up. It was a company running entirely on borrowed time. And if a small outfit like Lea-Francis could be sunk by a cash crunch, imagine what happens when it's not a scrappy underdog that stumbles, but an actual industry giant's brand new flagship. Number 9. Sunbeam Talbot, 80 July 1948. The Roots Group needed a modern-looking sedan fast, so instead of engineering something genuinely new, they did what a lot of struggling brands still do today. They put a fresh suit on an old body. The Sunbeam Talbot 80 wore all new styling, but underneath, it was mechanically almost identical to the outgoing Sunbeam Talbot 10. It looked the part sitting in a showroom window. It felt like a letdown the moment you pulled away from the curb. A 185cc engine, making a feeble 47 horsepower, had to haul around a much bigger, heavier new body, like putting a lawnmower engine in a delivery van. Motoring journalists noticed the mismatch immediately. Roots noticed too. The 80 lasted barely 2 years before it was quietly killed off and replaced. Customers who paid a premium for what they thought was Roots' bold new flagship instead drove home. Yesterday's underpowered engine wrapped in tomorrow's sheet metal. To least the Sunbeam Talbot 80 survived long enough to be remembered. The next car on this list met a stranger fate. Several of its own siblings were built and then deliberately destroyed. Number 8. Armstrong Siddeley Typhoon and the Tempest that vanished. Named after the Hawker Typhoon fighter plane and built on the Lancaster Saloon chassis, this sleek two-door coupe carried real prestige between 1946 and 1949. But its real curse lives in a little-known offshoot, a 4-door prototype called the Tempest, meant as the stepping stone to what would eventually become the Whitley sedan. Armstrong Siddeley built exactly 6 Tempests in 1949. Then the company recalled 5 of them and had them destroyed. Not scrapped for parts, destroyed. Only one Tempest survived at all, and only because a private owner saved it, not because the company wanted it saved. Nobody has ever fully explained why a completed, running batch of cars got pulled back and crushed instead of sold. Quality concerns? Change in plans? Simple embarrassment? Even today, nobody's sure. For a company that built its reputation on aircraft-grade engineering confidence, quietly destroying its own product sent an unsettling message. Would you want to own a car that your own manufacturer seemingly regretted ever building? The next car on our list didn't get destroyed. It just never got anywhere fast. Number 7. Triumph Roadster launched in March 1946. This was Standard's new Triumph flagship, built with one target in mind: Jaguar. It had elegant aluminum bodywork and a genuinely bizarre feature, an exposed rear dicky seat. basically a fold-out bench built into the trunk lid, among the very last of its kind ever fitted to a production car. It looked charming in photographs. Living with it was a different story. Climbing into that rear seat meant literally stepping over the rear bumper, and once you were in, you sat fully exposed to the weather with nothing but a tiny fold-up windshield for protection. Imagine tailgating at a football game in the rain, permanently at 40 miles an hour. The performance didn't save it either. Despite looking every bit the sports car, the 1800cc version needed a painful 34.4 seconds to hit 60 mph. That's slow today. In 1946, it was embarrassing. Buyers chasing speed looked elsewhere. Buyers chasing comfort found the cramped 3-across bench seat and the column-mounted gearshift equally miserable. Only 251 of the 1800 were ever built before Standard swapped in a bigger engine, and even that couldn't turn its fortunes around. Ambition had simply outrun execution. But the next car's problems ran a lot deeper than a stopwatch. Number 6. Riley RM Series. The RMA, and later the RMB, launched in 1945 to genuine acclaim, twin-cam engines, gorgeous coach-built bodywork, and a confident 90 to 100 horsepower under the hood. Enthusiasts adored them, but behind that acclaim, Riley was quietly losing control of its own identity. The company had been swallowed up by the Nuffield organization before the RM even launched, and in 1949, production was uprooted from Riley's traditional home in Coventry and shifted to MG's Abingdon Works. For a brand built on craftsmanship and independence, that relocation felt like watching your family recipe get handed to a corporate test kitchen. Boardroom decisions started overruling engineering pride, and the cars that followed slowly lost the character that had made the original RM special in the first place. To owners who'd bought into genuine Riley heritage, watched the badge quietly dissolve into just another cog in a bigger machine. This curse wasn't a broken part. It was a proud name slowly disappearing from the inside out. The next car's downfall was a lot more public. It played out in showrooms across an entire ocean. Number 5. Standard Vanguard. Announced in July 1947. The Vanguard was Standard's first genuinely new post-war design, and the company put everything behind it. Named after a Royal Navy battleship, it promised modern styling and a rugged 2088cc engine making 68 horsepower. Engineering so solid, it was later reused in Ferguson farm tractors. Standard aimed the Vanguard squarely at export markets across the Commonwealth and beyond, betting the company's global reputation on it. Then early cars started reaching customers, and the cracks showed. Complaints rolled in about noise, clunky gear changes, and general roughness, the kind of rush development growing pains that undercut the confident, battleship-strong image Standard had spent a fortune building. For a car explicitly designed to fly the flag for British engineering on the world stage, those early stumbles were deeply embarrassing. Standard eventually sorted the issues out, and later Vanguards genuinely improved. But that shaky launch left a permanent bruise with the early buyers who trusted a warship's name to mean warship-grade reliability. And even that disappointment was mild compared to what came next, a luxury sports car built to conquer America, and one of the biggest miscalculations in British automotive history. Number 4. Austin A90 Atlantic. Austin's chairman, Leonard Lord, had one goal with the A90 Atlantic: crack the American market wide open. It debuted at London's Earl's Court Show in 1948, dripping in chrome, styled specifically to catch American eyes. Under the hood sat a 2,660cc four-cylinder, making a respectable for Britain 88 horsepower. The problem? Respectable for Britain wasn't even in the conversation next to a contemporary American V8. Buick alone was selling a convertible that was faster, roomier, and cheaper. American buyers took one look and shrugged. Of roughly 8,000 Atlantics built, only about 350 ever sold in the United States, the one market this car existed to win over. Austin threw four-wheel hydraulic brakes and a hardtop coupe variant at the problem. Nothing moved the needle. Production limped on until 1952 before quietly ending, leaving Austin sitting on a warehouse full of unused engines that were supposed to go into more Atlantics nobody wanted. It was a spectacularly expensive miscalculation of what American drivers actually cared about. But the next car's curse wasn't a sales failure. It was a mechanical time bomb hidden inside genuinely brilliant engineering. Number 3. Jowett Javelin. Few cars in this list arrived with more promise than the Javelin in 1947. Designer Gerald Palmer borrowed aerodynamic principles straight from wartime aircraft design, wrapped them around a flat-4 1486cc engine and an unusually advanced chassis, and the result humiliated saloons from far bigger manufacturers, even taking class wins at the Monte Carlo Rally and the Spa 24 Hours. Then the cracks appeared, literally early. Javelins suffered fractured crankshafts and constant overheating. The price of Jowett rushing untested parts straight into production. Then in 1951, in a cost-cutting move, Jowett swapped its outsourced gearbox for a cheaper in-house design. That new transmission was catastrophically unreliable. It plagued owners for well over a year and permanently wrecked the Javelin's once glowing reputation. Jowett was small and financially stretched, and it simply couldn't absorb the warranty costs or win back customer trust fast enough. A car engineered to outclass its rivals instead became famous for breaking down when nobody expected it to. If a brilliant car undone by one bad decision sounds painful, the next car's curse ran through literally every component at once, and it wasn't even mechanical that finished it off. Number 2. Healey-Duncan Sports. Saloon unveiled at the 1947 Paris Motor Show wearing striking, pillarless aerodynamic coachwork designed by former aircraft engineer Ian Duncan. This Healey variant earned real praise from the press for looking like nothing else on British roads. Then, weeks later, the government struck. A new tax law slapped a brutal 66 2/3% purchase tax on any car sold in Britain for more than $1,000. Overnight, the Duncan Sports Saloon's price rocketed to nearly $2,900, instantly out of reach for the exact customers it had been built for. Imagine a $50,000 car waking up priced at $145,000 because of a single new law. That's the scale of the hit. Duncan Industries panicked and stripped the car down to a bare-bones body, nicknamed the Drone, just to squeak under the tax line, sacrificing everything that had made the original special in the first place. It wasn't nearly enough. Only a handful of cars were ever finished before Duncan Industries collapsed completely, undone not by any mechanical flaw, but by a single punishing line item in a government budget. Nothing on this list, though, comes close to what happened with our number one, Invicta Black Prince. Revived in 1946 with jaw-dropping ambition, the Black Prince promised a 3-liter twin-cam inline-6, making 120 horsepower, fully independent torsion bar suspension, and Britain's first genuine automatic transmission. The advertising made one bold promise above all: freedom from mechanical trouble. Reality delivered the exact opposite. That automatic gearbox, the Brockhaus hydrokinetic turbo transmitter, was a technological disaster. It was notoriously difficult to get into reverse, and once you did manage it, it had a habit of getting permanently stuck there. One owner, Amar Rajgera, had commissioned his Black Prince specifically for a grand European road trip. The gearbox was so unreliable he abandoned the trip entirely and had the car shipped straight to India. Instead, because that was less trouble than driving it, the suspension failed repeatedly, and at 3,020 including tax, buyers were paying more than a Jaguar Mark V for a car that frequently couldn't be trusted. To select a gear, only 16 Black Princes were ever completed before Invicta collapsed into bankruptcy in 1950. The remaining chassis were scrapped right where they stood. It remains one of the most spectacular collisions between ambition and reality in the entire history of British motoring, a car whose own advertising slogan became the industry's cruelest inside joke. 10 cars. 10 completely different ways that post-war British ambition ran headfirst into hard reality. Some failed through rushed engineering, some through corporate mismanagement, and one through a single gearbox so notorious it helped bankrupt an entire company. Together, they tell a story you won't find in the glossy, celebratory histories of Britain's motoring golden age, the quieter story of the promises that didn't get kept. If forgotten stories like these are exactly your thing, there's a lot more waiting for you right here. So tell me, which of these cursed machines surprised you the most? Drop it in the comments, and we'll keep digging through Britain's motoring past for the stories history nearly forgot.